Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we have a special one because of my 150 here, the Geophagus Sveni, maybe the most beautiful cichlids I currently own. They are breeding and we're going to show the entire process in today's video, so let's dive right in. So those of you that don't know, this is my 150-gallon custom aquarium that's been up and running for about 4 years now. It has South American cichlids with my Geophagus Sveni, electric blue acara, has some plecos in here, as well as a school of denizen barbs. And the Geophagus Sveni here has quickly climbed the ranks to be one of my favorite all-time cichlids, and I think it's probably the most beautiful group that I currently have down here in my fish room. I have 2 in this tank and 1 in my other tank. So this story really starts about a year ago when I noticed that these Geophagus Sveni were really starting to be aggressive towards each other. I had 4 in the tank at the time, and I knew I had to step in and separate them. And after a bit of struggle, I was finally able to net 1 of them and move it into my bigger tank with my other South American cichlids. And I think that was really the time when the breeding process started, because they started to get so aggressive, they started to pair up, and I started to see 2 of them swimming around together much more often. But then for a while things calmed down and I didn't really see any breeding activity until about 4 months ago. I finally saw eggs in this tank. They laid eggs on the rock in the bottom left corner of the tank, and they were guarding those eggs pretty aggressively, pushing the other tank mates to the other side of the aquarium. And I was just hoping that one day I would be able to scoop out either the eggs or the fry to put them into a separate tank. And then just about 2 months ago, the same thing happened. I saw eggs in the same location that they were guarding, and I think other tank mates, maybe my plecos, got to the eggs, or I just didn't see the fry. Maybe they got picked off right away. But then I start to realize that Geophagus Sveni, just like many others, are mouth brooders. So when they do have the fry hatch, they will take the fry into their mouth, and the parents will take turns holding the babies in their mouth, protecting it against other tank mates or any other harm that they see in the aquarium. But in those past 2 cycles, the fry may have hatched and they may have just been in the parent's mouth, but I couldn't see it. It is kind of difficult to tell. They just have a little bit of a pulse going kind of under their mouth and their throat area, but I never saw free swimming fry. But then about a week ago, I came back from vacation and I did see the 2 Sveni swimming together very closely, and they weren't really eating much that first day or 2, which is not like them, so I was a bit worried. I came down the next day and I saw babies. They had free swimming fry in that bottom left area, kind of in that pit right between the 2 Geophagus Sveni. I was absolutely pumped. And at that moment, I was just so excited. I took out my camera and I just filmed it, and I just wanted to get as much footage of their babies and the process as possible. But I quickly realized that the parents were slowly picking them back up because I was in front of the tank. They were perceiving me as a threat, so they slowly started putting the babies back in their mouths, which is obviously not where I can scoop them out from the tank. So at this point, I was trying to figure out how I was going to get the babies out of this tank, because if I left them, there's no way any of those babies were going to survive. The other tank mates, the electric blue acara, the denizen barbs, they would definitely pick apart any of the fry once they were free swimming in the tank. And I mentioned last year when I removed 1 fish from this tank, it was an absolute disaster because of the big aquascape in here. It was really difficult not to destroy all the plants and the wood trying to get to that fish. I did break off a piece of the driftwood at that time. And I knew that the parents were probably tired and stressed from guarding the eggs and the fry, so netting them out and stressing them out more just really wasn't an option. A lot of times other cichlids, like African cichlids, will be mouth brooders as well, and you'll just take them out of the tank and strip out the eggs or the fry, and that's how you get them. But because of these circumstances with my Geophagus, I just didn't really feel like that was an option. So over the next 24 hours, I completely stalked these parents, just walking by the tank, just checking them out, seeing if the babies were swimming around at all and I could maybe get a net in and scoop them out. And finally, after maybe the 6th try, I came down here, I saw that there was a little group swimming around, and I quickly got my net out, scooped them out as much as I could, along with a lot of sand from the tank, unfortunately. And then I put it into my new 10-gallon tank in the fish room, which was just holding some extra plants that were going to be going into other aquariums at the time. But these new 10-gallon tanks in my fish room were intended for this use. If some fish in my aquariums like this were to breed, I could actually scoop out the babies and grow them up. So this was ideal, and I was able to get maybe 10 of the babies at that time and put them into that tank. When I first got these guys in the tank, they were tightly packed in a little ball there on the substrate, but I was just so excited to finally get some of the babies out of the tank. But I knew that was not all they had, because whenever I came back, you could see that they had a mouthful of babies still. But I was really excited to at least get some of these babies out of there. Remember, if I left them in the tank, they would have zero chance of making it, but moving them into their separate tank, that at least gives them a chance to grow up. But I knew that was not all the babies that they had, because the parents definitely appeared to still be mouth brooding. So I continued to stock the aquarium, looking every hour or two at the tank to see if I could find any free swimming fry to scoop them out. And luckily that next day I saw the same thing, about 10 to 15 of them swimming around. So I got my net, did the exact same process, and I got another maybe 8 to 10 out of the tank. And so now in the 10-gallon tank, I think I have about 19 the last time I tried to count, and they are doing well. They've been in this tank for 3 days now. They are eating little crushed bits of flakes and nano pellets, and I am super excited to see this breeding process through and watch these guys grow and evolve. And the process is not over, because I know the parents are still holding some of the fry in their mouths, so I'm continuing the stalking process of these Geophagus Sveni to see if I can get the number up a little bit more. And if you remember a couple years ago in this same tank, I did have a very similar process happening with the electric blue acara. They had babies a few times, and I was finally able to scoop out a net full of fry and grow up about 80 to 90 electric blue acara, which was awesome. I would say it's a much easier process for them because they are not mouth brooders, so I did have a parent to work around, but the babies were pretty easy to scoop out. I just needed to have the right timing before too many of them were eaten by the other tank mates. So then the question is, how did this breeding process even happen? Well, I did have a small group of Geophagus Sveni, which I think is important because you want that pair to naturally form. And once that pair did form, there was aggression towards the others, and I did have to step in and remove them to make sure none of them had any real issues. But once that pair formed, it was really about just keeping things consistent, making sure the water quality was great, the live plants in here really helps, making sure that they're comfortable. I fed them consistently with extreme pellets and flakes, which they really love, occasionally throwing in some frozen food as well, but nothing special in terms of trying to trigger breeding. And the water parameters in my area is not even ideal for Geophagus or South American cichlids who prefer lower pH and softer water. I have higher pH and harder water. But if you keep things consistent, you do your water changes, you keep your nitrates low, and you feed quality foods, I think they can thrive even in the less than ideal natural parameters that they're used to in the wild. And if you're trying to breed Geophagus like this and get a high number of fry and output, I would definitely recommend just taking the pair and separating them into their own tank, maybe like a 55 or 75 gallon tank, and just letting them do their thing without any disruption with tank mates. But I really just love the Geophagus Sveni in this aquarium, and I couldn't imagine it without them in there, so I didn't want to remove the pair, like I said earlier, stress them out, or just set up a different tank for them. So this was really the best I can do in terms of scooping out the babies, but I am very excited for the 18 to 20 that we currently have in the 10-gallon tank, and I will continue to stock these guys and see if I can get any more out. Well guys, as soon as I was done filming this video, of course, I look in the tank and I see a big school, probably the biggest yet, that were free swimming, so I got my net, scooped them out, and now look in the 10-gallon tank. I probably have an extra 50, so maybe around 70 babies in here, and this is just incredible. So I'm super excited. Of course, that happened right as I was done filming, so sorry to put an insert in here, but I'm very pumped to have all of these babies in the tank. And if they breed again, maybe in a month or so, I will try and do the same exact process, because the Geophagus Sveni, like I said, is one of my favorite cichlids in the hobby today, so I'm so excited to have this happen and showcase these awesome cichlids to you and just show that process of them growing up, because they turn into absolute stunners like these guys here. And that'll hopefully mean we'll have plenty of Geophagus Sveni in my aquariums for the foreseeable future, and I'm really excited for it. But if you have any questions about the breeding process or about Geophagus Sveni in general, definitely leave those down in the comment section below. I'd be happy to help. And stay tuned for many more updates on these guys and their babies as they grow. Thanks again for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.